Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Here He Goes Again live stream. And we will hopefully be getting guests. If not, we have plenty of stuff to talk about tonight. So I'd like to thank anyone who's been watching the channel recently and recently following the subscriptions and all the other good stuff, because everything on the other social medias on my half's been actually quite good so far. And I'd like to thank everyone who, if I can get the information correct, nope, I can show you how good things are going, because I'm starting to get a few videos been made and getting a few extra followers on the Instagram, so everything's going quite well. There we go. That'll do. And we show another screen. Share the screen. Share. There we go. Perfect. So, as I want everyone to know, I'm only really just started getting back to doing the commentary on YouTube and that and so on. But I'd like to thank everyone for who's joined the channel recently, where I believe only the last stream that was nearly a month ago, where yeah, it was only 1,000 people that was on that just joined. So now we've got 2,147. So I'd like to thank everyone for that. And we're going to be talking about a few subjects today, because I need to, well, to be honest, I need to say a few things anyway. And there's not enough time making the videos and then figuring out what's happening on the other things, because there's so much content, there's so much things happening in the world, and there's a lot of opinions I just don't get to say. And I think it's easier if I just talk about the stuff that I'm not the only one who's talking about this. I've just realized even Carl Benjamin's talking about it. Even everyone's talking about it. Sorry, everyone's talking about Zia Yusuf. He left the party, and I was going to make a video about it, and I never got the chance, because he rejoined again because he left, and then he rejoined, and I think that's basically pissed off a lot of the foreign voters. So I think we should really just jump onto that. And let's just look at this. Rupert Lowe's Instagram account. Zia Yusuf returns to Reform UK 48 hours after resigning. If there was any other way you could piss off any more of the Reform base, is by doing this. People have a problem with Zia Yusuf for a little while now. And to be fair, some of it's wanted, some of it's not. But the way culture is going in British politics right now, it's really something. Trying to understand how things are going to go for this party is very interesting. Is there a way we can make this a little bit better to look at, to be fair? Where is my yard? There it is. Because there could be a better screen we could use. Let's use the... No, let's not use that one. Use a different link. Yeah, I just jumped on talking about myself, talking about Zia Yusuf, because I've just realized there's a lot of people talking about this, and it's hypocritical, to be fair. Here we go. So, only 24 hours ago, more or less, Zia Yusuf, the chairman of the Forum UK, left the position of the chairman as the Forum UK. And then after that, not long, like 2 hours ago, according to him, he has joined the party again as... Sorry, I'm hitting my microphone. As the leader of Dodge. Now, I'm not going to read what he says, because I really don't fucking care anymore. Because I think a lot of people has just been absolutely frustrated with this. Because I have my grievances with the Forum UK as it is, and just they keep stabbing themselves in the back. if they're not stabbing themselves, they're stabbing members. If they're not doing that, they're betraying people's trust, the votes, and whatever else. And if their members aren't doing it, their leadership is doing it. And you're just like, oh, great. Where's the trust and loyalty between all these people, to be fair? And the word is none, really. And you wonder why that majority of people who think they can't trust the forum can't trust the forum. And you're like, okay. And that's interesting. I've been watching the live tracker since Zia left the party, and they've gained a few extra followers. A good few since that happened. So I don't know if it's anything to do with Zia coming back is in leading the Dodge unit, but oh man, where do we begin? Where do we begin? Because to be fair, I'm not sure what to think about this because a lot of this is just unnecessary drama for unnecessary reasons. Because when you say you quit the party, right? You say I'm quitting the party, and I forget what we're actually why he quit the party. We're not even talking about that bit, but I think we will have to. You're going to quit over the party, which seems to be over the burqa ban, which seems to have triggered his little sensibilities, and well, he leaves. He says, I'm resigning his position of the forum. Some of the members are rejoiced, some of them are sad that, but then some Nigel comes on TV and says stupid shit of his own. And then you got obviously Mr. Rupert Lowe, which I say has the potential to do something really good with all this drama that's coming on, him and Ben Habib. And the fact of what could happen to this party, it could be their own downfall, to be fair. But back to Zia, he quits and then he says, "Oh, I'm going to come back now," and everyone's just like, "Why? Why? Why do you quit? And then why do you come back?" Because why he left, I guess this needs to be a little bit described. Why? Why did he leave? Now, if we go, no, not that. We don't need to talk about the S&P sad lot because they're not even relevant, and we don't need that either. I don't even know what that means by the post-millennial, but whatever. Let's see, because we've got a lot of things going on here, and we have to be careful not to mix stories up because we start mixing stories up, things are going to go a little bit oopsie. So, we won't talk about this now. This is you haven't been verified yet. Well, we'll verify ourselves eventually. We're only at 243, so we don't really care. So, really? Huh? That's interesting. Sorry, this is the French woman who, okay. The video's gone. Okay, so this is the video of, oh god, it got a like and it's vanished. Oh, I love how the tweet's still there, though. Sorry, this is the tweet of the woman who justified Hamas's murder thing, like the October the 7th. She justified it, right? And where do I go with my post? Because there's a lot to cover here. It would have been useful if we had guests to talk about this flu, but we have things to talk about too. There's plenty of things to talk about, and I can hold the show on my own until this happens. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Right. This is where things start going wrong. Now, I kind of have to emphasize, on the Friday, we did have the Hamilton, Larkhall and Stonehouse election in Scotland. This was the start of the Reform's bad day, let's admit that, where they lost. Reform UK lost Lambie here. I don't need to do that. They lost against the Labour and the SNP and became third place with 7,088 votes, while if they didn't decide to divide the vote because they think they know everything, they would have actually gained the votes from the Conservatives of that 1,621, the 5.98%, where the Reform's 26.15%, and they would have had enough to take over the Labour Party and the SNP. But for me, I think that's fucking hilarious in its own way. Because this was like the first loss Reform had, I think, in the elections, where I said, today this was a victory because people in Reform don't seem to understand because I'm going to give credit to the nationalists, all 5 times I ever do in my life, that every time the Reform talks about Scotland, they never talk about, the Reform never talks about Scotland, right? But the thing is, people don't seem to understand when it comes to Scottish politics is the SNP is the bad guy here. They are the bad mojo. They are not the one to be. Nobody wants them to be in charge. And to be honest, we could have anyone. The Greens, probably not. The Lib Dems, nobody gives a shit. But having Labour winning the seat, obviously, Sir Keir Starmer isn't very fucking useful. But at this point, do we really give a shit anymore? Not really. No, we don't. And it's like trying to explain to people. Like, I'll make this point clear enough if I can. In Scotland, the SNP have been in charge for 18 years. They are the literal establishment in Scotland. So when anyone says anti-establishment, they really need to be thinking, right, we need to be up against the SNP. When the SNP come along and say we're not the establishment, but you are. You've got MPs in Westminster where they get nice loads of money. Remember Ian Blackford that was getting £600,000 a year, if that, from his 6 jobs. He was allowed to have as much jobs as he wanted, and nobody would call it out. And I'm like, why? Why would no one ever call this out? Because it's like nobody gives a shit. And then he leaves, and then everyone forgets. But it's not just him, it's the whole bunch of them. Because they are establishment. And when I say establishment, this is like the Westminster Holyrood. I'll mention this. The one in Cardiff and the one in Northern Ireland as well, if you count them at all. About Sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things at once. There we go. Sorry. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is when you're looking at all this that happens with sorry. When you're trying to deal with Scottish politics, you have to realize the SNP are the establishment body who have to go against, not the Labour Party, not the SNP. Sorry, not the Labour Party, not the Conservatives, not the Lib Dems. It's literally everyone else. And the Forum, with their campaign, did absolutely everything in their power to fuck up the chances that they could get for winning the seat because they went after Labour. They went after I forget his name now. Yusuf's speech. They went after the Labour leader. They went after him. They went after everyone else except for the SNP. And when I covered it in my own video, I said, well, there's actually ground here that some of these people can actually gain from, right? Sorry. There we go. But the forum never chose to go after the SNP because there was a thing I pointed out in my own video, which I'm not going to talk about this now. We can come back to this, where the forum never really went after what the SNP was failing to do. The Labour Party did. There was an £8 million investment that was going to be done by the Labour Council in the area of Hamilton to revamp the area. And if you don't know these Scottish towns or villages, some of them are absolute shitholes. Like they're like, talk about dead city centres, right? Talk about that, but some of these areas like Cumbernauld, Falkirk, even Hamilton and bits of Glasgow, they're just left to the environment themselves. They're just neglected. We even have an area called Chernobyl, well, people call Scotland's Chernobyl, where there was not really a nuclear plant, but it's just abandoned buildings. Things like this could have been redeveloped into housing by now. Like, there was nothing to stop them. But when it came to the £8 million investment that the SNP said no, this is Cathy Luton, the one that was standing the election. She said, let's not give them the investment, and then it never went through. Labour did care. And Davy Russell has a lot of support as the Lord Lieutenant and ex-former, I believe, boss of Rangers. So unionists vote there. And you're like, well, there's not really need to vote for the other party, but I mean, they were literally on a tightrope, to be fair. But when the form comes in and says, we're just better than the establishment, but we have no plan, no policy, and we're just going to win, right? Go and vote for us, send Nigel up, and all that kind of stuff. And you just think that's going to make people win. Now, I get England gets this philosophy where you can just send the leader of the party to the area and then you win the election or automatically. All the leaders of all the different parties were up here. You had UKIP's Nick Coney, I believe he was up here. If he wasn't, that's the media screwing that up. You had John Swinney for the SNP. You had Nigel Farage for the UKIP. Sorry, no, not UKIP. The Forum UK, you had did you even have the leader of the did you have Kemi for the Conservatives? Well, you had the Scottish one because unlike the Forum, we do have a Scotsman who represents the Scottish part of the party up here. The Greens were in there, Anne McGuinness, and I think even the Labour one too. You can prove me wrong on that one. But at the start of the day, that's how bad things were getting at the start. That was not a good start in the morning. It was not a good start. And can we go back? Because there's other things to delete here. There we go. Do we have anyone that's coming on? No, that's fine. Cool. I'll just keep talking to myself. That's fine. We can do that. What am I looking for? There we go. So, the Hamilton by-election, that was the worst thing that started it off. And we got a whole lot of slew shit to get through here. Then we have this. We've got Sarah Puchin, the one who literally just came in. Well, let's stop that because we need to hear the audio about it. And let me check if the audio is working before I do anything. Okay, that's fine. Oh. No, we don't need to hear that. Right. So, Sarah Puchin, she's the one who came in and became the new 6th parliamentary member who started talking about the burqa. And for her first parliamentary privilege to ask the Prime Minister a question directly, she asked the thing about getting rid of the burqa. And I support getting rid of the burqa because it's an oppression against women. Now, this has got 2.4 million views with a good, decent 26,000K and a 3.7K dislike. So this is what just started everything off, because it's an interesting conversation to have. We just haven't got there yet, but I think we're going to have it now because the light controls the Overton window.
Sir, approaching. Yeah.
Given the Prime Minister's desire to strengthen strategic alignment with our European neighbours, will he, in the interests of public safety, follow the lead of France, Denmark, Belgium and others and ban the burqa?
Yeah. Prime Minister.
Can I welcome her to her place? But I'm not going to follow her down that line. But now she is here and safely in her place, perhaps she could tell her new party leader that his latest plan to bet £80 billion of unfunded tax cuts, with no idea how he's going to pay for it, is Liz Truss all over again. Although, considering I think she was a Conservative member when Liz Truss was leader, she probably won't.
Dr. Scott, sir, approaching. Yeah.
Given the Prime Minister's desire to strengthen strategic alignment with our European neighbours, will he, in the...
Sorry, right. So that was pathetic in its own little way. It's interesting that Sir Keir Starmer himself really just failed to answer the question in itself. If you wanted to answer the question, just answer the question, just say no. But because this is really one of the disaster things you could be asking the Prime Minister and the Labour Party themselves, because the fact that Labour are needing the Muslim vote right now to keep themselves alive, because they're literally scared on the edges of losing their entire governance because of people like this fucker in the cunt. Sorry, this asshole who supports terrorism for whatever reason. Oh yeah, because he probably hates the UK, but he still goes in a parliamentary seat for the Islamic vote. Yeah. So he could have just said no. And him just going about now he just doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's voting about and all that kind of stuff. It's just it's just sad in its own way. And we shouldn't really be acknowledging it, to be fair. But if you can see here, you got Richard Tice here, and I think it's Lee Anderson there. So once this was done, Richard Tice and Lee Anderson both retweeted this. This video and saying it was good for her to do it, right? And she told Talk Radio or Talk TV later on that these two did know this was going to happen, but something screwed up after that because Zia Yusuf retweeted it as well. But so he didn't retweet it; he replied back, calling it dumb. Now that's a problem. Well, that was a problem until he quit, because it wasn't him who initially started it, which is a bit odd, where what he did was, well, that's... Sorry, just look at the sheep. Sheep replies. Oh dear. He went after Jonathan Wong as well? Oh god. Oh dear. Oh dear. He went after... Oh god. I didn't realize he went after Jonathan Wong. Shit. Right. So it was Katie Hopkins, in fact, was the one that caused the stir in the first place, where she actually said it wasn't... Now, where's the damn tweet? Come on. So this thing's just gonna vanish, is it? Come on. Because Katie Hopkins did reply, but I'm just trying to find the bloody thing. There it is. So, from what Sarah Potchkin asked, she says, Dear Mohammed, which is his name, a Reform UK party spokesman says the burqa ban is not party policy. Now, the thing is, how did we know this wasn't party policy? Because this came up in the politics poll. This came up in the politics poll post saying it's not party policy. So someone with the authority was able to tell that person with politics poll that this was the form's policy. So here's Katie Hopkins asking, Dear Mohammed, his spokesman says the burqa ban is not party policy. Is this you work again, Mo? What's next? Sarah Potchkin threaten you in the office and need to report her to the police? Burqa ban must be party policy. And well, that's a reply to Mr. Rupert Lowe himself, is it not? Because anytime anyone's scared about saying something to Mr. Zia Yusuf, he just reports you to the police because he doesn't like you or he calls you racist or something. Because that's exactly what we expect the new party to come in and do, right? Anyway, so it's just freaking weird. Okay, it's so weird how this all goes. Yeah. So Zia replies with nothing to do with me. I had no idea about this question. No, I wasn't. No, it wasn't policy. But the other stuff, I do think it's a dumb. I do think it's. Sorry, I do think it's dumb. That's very unprofessional for the party to ask the PM if they would do something about the party itself wouldn't do. That's embarrassing. That's not even professional as well. And what I think I agree more is what Connor Tomlinson said, to be fair, because yeah, this is what he said. Well, there's actually a few replies down here we kind of have to read. And I mean, I do have dyslexic, but it's fine. No, Sarah was not dumb. Of course, the great functions of the PM are perform a space of public discourse for parliamentary privilege. By asking the question and watching Starmer avoid answering, Sarah distinguished between those who are willing to admit Islam presents a unique moral and cultural changes and those who are not. Sarah used to made in question the make a salient and important practice of covering a woman's head to toe based on Islamic belief that a bare skin acts as a cruel temptation for men to sin, which is actually in the Islamic texts. This is not misinformation. This is in their Bibles and their Quran. That women being acts of sexual violence upon themselves by dressing indecently. That is not a threat according to British custom. The public would be right for said in banning burqas, and she, as a barrister, did also do this as well. Where, to be fair, she did this as well. If people went into her court covering themselves head to toe with the burqas, she'd be said, no, this is not happening, basically. And in a way, it's true, because not the put on the religious aspect of this, but a lot of the public don't like masks. Later than the 2 years we had masks. But when you see young boys in balaclavas or even masked up to the head to toe going about on the bikes, people are pretty scared. The general public is scared about that kind of people. And we see a lot of this happening in very unstable places in the Middle East where people dress up in their full burqas to cover up things we can't talk about on here. But to illustrate the fact, this isn't ununique thing is because even Sarah mentioned the fact that, well, that does hurt as well. That it's been banned in other countries like Sweden and that, and France. Like the whole thing has been banned. Like they've been banned in European countries, so it would be ideal for Britain to be coming along the toe about this whole thing, right? But no, he just avoids the question. Pardon me. Then we got Mr. Lupillo. Sarah Pochin is elected MP. This is applying to the same thing. She has every right to voice her opinion on such important topic. It is not dumb. It's just a word. You don't say dumb. And she's absolutely right. We should ban the burqa, and whilst we there, let's throw the niqab as well. What's your views here? And I don't think he actually replied to that, but I mean, it's not like he would reply to the one he tried to get into jail. Because, to be honest, I don't blame Lupin for being pissed off, because for him quitting, for Zia to quit, then just to do this, it was really, really something. No. Where's the part where he says, there we go. So, after all that, on the 5th of June, he says, 11 months ago, I became chairman of the forum. I've worked very hard, full-time volunteer to take the pie from 14 to 30%. You're not really achieving that, by the way. But quadrupled the membership and delivered historical electoral results until yesterday, or until Friday morning. And I no longer believe to get reform government elected is a good use of my time, and hereby resign from the office. Now, this is a weird, very weird use of language, I must admit. No longer believe get a reform government elected is a good use of my time. So, one, you're not getting what you want from the party as the chairman, you're number 2 to Nigel, or 2, something's just not, something's pissed you off to the extent that you don't want to be there. And like Ben Habib says, for the first time, I agree with you. Indeed, there was never a good use of your or anyone else's time. And I don't believe this would have made any sense. This makes a lot of sense if it feels like it's not worth your time until you fucking join the party again. There we go. Over the 24 hours, I've received huge, lovely, heartfelt fuck off messages. Sorry. I just hate when people do this. I don't like stupid, like real stupid. So, whatever, he says, bloody, bloody, blah. He says, I'm a long way since appointed chairman. Oh, yeah, okay. And has moved on to start up the upscale. I've given this that we have one power and local level and focus on a new law by running the UK Dodge team to fight the taxpayers, as well as working on a party policy that are presenting it in the media. And we will continue to give all the time and most important project of my life. No, just because you're copying Elon Musk, that's all you're doing. And getting the reform government elected with Nigel Farage as Prime Minister. So, I would like to ask, what fucking changed between there and there? No, seriously, what changed between there and there? What changed between those 2 points? No, seriously, what changed? Because I don't know. I'm a bit confused by this, and I'm a bit baffled as well. Because how do you expect anyone to take the form seriously by doing this? This is what I don't get. And if anyone would like to tell me in the comments why I'm super long, because I'd love to know that. And just explain to me why this makes any sense. Because why would you quit the party then come back in? Is it for money? Is it for attention? Is it for something else? Because you didn't believe it was a waste, it was worth your time the first time around, and then the next time around you said, "Oh, it's just nah, let's just join the party again." And oh, it's so fucking frustrating. Like, I'm still a member of this party for some reason. The only reason I'm really in it is to, well, one, help myself, and help if I can get this party to be the real party of the real people. But they keep shooting themselves in the foot, and things like this just don't help. People are just like, if you were going to quit, you quit. But when you look at this, literally that point in the screen there, no longer believe working with reform is a good use of my time, to I want Nigel Farage to be in as the next prime minister. You're like, what's going on here? You wonder why the normies, the ones that don't know politics, are losing their minds. Or they're like, why should we vote for them? And to be fair, I would agree with them. Any nationalist that comes out and says, oh, they don't represent Scotland, they're fucking right on that opinion too. Even that video of Alice Sauer done by Joe, a propaganda network, is true. It's like, oh man, Alice Sauer, there we go. Because even the video about talk about Nigel not coming up to Scotland. I mean, we're not going to cover that tonight because I need a second audience for this. But you're just like, are you fucking kidding me, man? And I think I've spent enough time talking about this because, just another day in the politics realm, man. So, let's not look at guys, dudes. So, let's go and look at something that I think. Not Vice. Vice Guard. So, let's go and look at something that they shared recently, not that propaganda thing with against anti-Russia stuff. Now, there is something that isn't relevant to the UK as well that they did. Now, people would be saying, why you not talk about the rest of Europe? Because I'm like, well, there's a lot of stuff happening at home, and I think I need to talk about it a little bit more. And I don't really do the live streams enough as it is. And if we can just get the right picture. Like, okay, that's terrible in its own way. So, here's something that's. Is this? This is something really worrying. So, the government, the UK government, has the Western cultures under threat. This is from Vice Guard. The fact that some extreme right-wing terrorist ideology is the British government claims. This is terrorist ideologies. This is a prevent duty trading. So this is from the UK government itself. So what's the three things they're going to mention about right-wing terrorism? Not Islamic terrorism, where 75% of MI5's reporting base is covering this kind of stuff. No, let's go and talk about this. Extreme right-wing. We define extreme right-wing terrorism as active vocal support of ideologies. So does fucking every one of them. Anyway, that advocate discrimination and violence against minority groups. And what happens when the minority group is a white person? You seem to ignore them very willingly. The three most common categories extreme far-right terrorist ideologies narratives are cultural nationalism, Western values is under threat from mass migration, a lack of integration by certain ethnic and cultural groups. That's terrifying. I mean, Vice Guards just blasted themselves with that. And anyone who has a question on immigration, so that's everyone from Nigel Farage, Rupert Lowe to Tony Robertson. That's like everyone. Patriotic British, patriotic English, patriotic Scots, Welsh, Irish. You're now all categorized as demographically terrorists, right-wing extremism. Because if they couldn't figure this out sooner, they might as well do it this way. Because this is the worst. White ethno-nationalism, mass immigration from non-white world and demographic changes purposes existential threat to the white race and Western culture. So, okay, right. So you've got Western culture as in the existence of democracy, the existence of democratic means. That's what Western culture is on a liberal spectrum. That's what it means to some people. And a lot of people is like, oh, well, we respect the democracy. It's a cultural Western value. You know, that very basic notion of it. And you're just like, okay, so it's obviously not that, because that would be counted as domestic terrorism, would it not? And then, of course, white supremacism. The white race is biologically, culturally, and spiritually superior to all other races. We know that's not true, but we were the ones who were able to advance the world much faster than everyone else. Just saying, because people are trying to say there's no such thing as white culture, there's no white race, but they don't seem to be these people who hate white people, who are racist against white people, English people, and any other Western culture or country. They seem to be quite happy for the erasure of their existence. Now, sorry, anyway, the alternative of an alternative form of government raging for fascist regimes to ethno-tribalism should replace Western parliamentary democracy. You have literally just stabbed yourself in your own quota. It's like, no, 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 no. The reason you have these superior democracy things is came from white British people, white Americans, white cultures, white ideologies, white people. This comes from white cultures. The empire stopped slavery. The British Empire stopped slavery, which was mostly white people. Is that now like regarded as right wing extremism? Because so is slavery good now? Because how far does this extension go? This is very bleak in its own way. And you're like, oh, okay. So this isn't going to go well at all. And you're just like, oh, fucking great. So they've gave every reason for everyone to go against right wing nationalism, right wing patriotism. This because we know Tommy Robertson's back in the go, and we just got so much fucking problems. And the last thing we need was to add that to the list. I was going to say, is that who I thought it was? But it's not. But you just can't believe how some people do things. Honest to God. Well, we might as well stick under the form thing because that's one thing I'm annoyed about as well. I mean, is this oh, there's a petition to get rid of the full face coverings in public spaces. With 29,000 people signing the signature. That's interesting. Is there anything I need to cover here before I forget? Well, well, there's this. I kind of wanted to talk about this. The Hawksmoor. Does anyone know who the Hawksmoor is? They are a restaurant. Now, the Hawksmoor restaurant, a very nice, fancy restaurant where I believe there was like some political things happened in these places too. And my God, they're still getting extra followers. The Hawksmoor has had a few different. If I can share it on the. So sorry, I'm just getting this posted right now as we're speaking. Hawksmoor? Hawksmoor. There we go. So, right, Hawksmoor Restaurant. It says Van Damwood in here. Used to love your restaurants. Never again. Spent. This is meant to be a free country, adding to the tarnishing on you. Now, what happened here? As far as I'm aware, this is a very fancy chain of restaurants, very nice places. I believe some of them have had, fine, fancy meals and all that stuff. Probably expensive, really expensive place to go. Nice food, nice lips. That looks really nice. Look, nice food, well done food, and that. Sometimes they have events inside these places, but they also had a guest that they didn't want, right? So now, from this statement here, as of Thursday, a public figure was asked to leave one of our restaurants because the guest staff felt uncomfortable and had complained the party left peacefully and politely on the quest. This is not about politics or beliefs. Hawksmoor is not a political organization. We're not a group of restaurants. We want to welcome as many people in as possible, except for the one I'm just about to mention. Regardless of the background or your views, that's just ironic. To our guests and the team, we're not trying to encourage in public debate. So I'm wrong. They don't do events like this. Now they don't. The teams had a huge amount of fallout from this. Hope some quite concerning. We would like to get back to the focus on looking after the people and our guests. Thank you for all the blah from William Beckett, co-founder, CEO, Hawksmoor. So they're not allowing certain political people with certain political opinions into the restaurant. So, do we like to know who this person was? Because this would be quite an interesting person to introduce. And if we just get the right information for the right screen, share the screen, it would be my latest post. That's what I've been quiet there for. Would be for Mr. Tony Robertson. Which, if we refresh the page right now, there we go. La-dee-dee-da. So, okay, this isn't the picture I posted, but whatever. Why did you ignore everything I said? There was 4 pictures. There's 4 pictures. Why did you not pick all of them? Stupid thing. We'll delete that. And we'll just wait for it to come up because it wasn't Mr. Tony Robertson decided to come. And why can't you just post? There you go. So, this is the same post here, but it wasn't just him, was it? It was Liam Tufts. Liam Tufts was there with 3 other gentlemen, but one of them was Tony Robertson. Now, Liam Tufts is the guy who does his own YouTube channel, his own podcast show. I do like watching it. And, sorry for hitting the microphone. And they were the people who was asked to leave the place. Not anyone else. It was them who were asked to go. They were asked to leave because someone felt uncomfortable with their political beliefs. It was them who were asked to leave and not make it political. Ironic, isn't it? So it wasn't... Well, let's see what Liam had to say. Because I bet this was a shock when they got kicked out here. Because it's a fancy place. And I've only just heard of the name just now, and I'm like, well, it's not Savoy, but it's good enough for me. Anyway, so it wasn't just a public figure. I was asked to leave. It was 5 polite men that were behaving like perfect customers. And I was once, so yeah, I was one of the 5 people who was appalled. I was in full support in my house, my rules, my policy, wherever left out the fuss, however, supporting something that doesn't mean endorse the actions or beliefs. I found the whole thing disgraceful and will return at some stage and see what kind of action that was taken and will be taken again. It's not the turn to support the clean line their pockets, the social experiment, to see their service attitudes change perhaps, receive more satisfactory reason as to why our comfort wasn't taken to consideration and preferably an apology. They would like a big apology for this. Now, question is, I'm just going to put this, it's a lot nicer to look at. This is another stage of woke business, another stage of political activism, a stage of making sure the right people, the right opinions go into the right restaurants and the right shops and so on, and just discrimination of itself. And it's really fucking appalling. Sorry for swearing, but it's appalling because I actually don't care about what Tommy or Liam say. I don't really care. People just don't like them because the persona that's been blasted out for years. And that's kind of why I showed the government version of white's the terrorism thing on white ethnic nationalism and white ethnicity. It's like it's leading to questions and leading to problems because what the establishment did was made a martyr out of Tony Robertson. Now, you can like him or hate him, but he was very firm against Islam and what they're potentially going to do. And he did just release another documentary. As soon as he got kicked out of jail, they tried to throw more sentences at him. I think they have. And it's just another blow because it's really fed up with this shit. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Very based. And I don't know, like, just how far does this have to go? Because it's questionable, right? We want positivity to come back, but we're never sure how this is all going to go. Because a lot of look at that, the gay people don't like the Ukraine. Weird. I thought Ukraine was a progressive country because we gave them moral values and so on. No, they're protesting against the gay pride because that's fun. All right, there's the news there. But fuck that. Let's talk about some positive news because although this is self-promotion on my part, I learned something called the Federation of the Allies of Britain, where we actually gained a bit of success recently. Now, I wouldn't say it's just me. There was a whole thing about it where I'll share here. I did a petition which I requested the removal of the group Kneecap from the Transmit Festival. Now, I go to the Transmit Festival a few times, or whenever it comes on, because I do like the acts that go there, and sometimes I don't get a lot of time to enjoy the music. But what Kneecap does is basically a stain on the music industry. These are the people who are pro-terrorism, where they said a good Tory MP is a DIE 1, and I can't say that on YouTube. And nope, not quite that. And the good news is we were able, so we as a petition was able to get these people removed. They have been removed. This happened on the 28th of May. I haven't really had time to post about it because I didn't think it would go anywhere. Not just the 61 signatures. there was a whole backlash amongst all the spectrum. Police Scotland got involved, and I'm like, thank God, where they said this could lead to public safety. And Transmit has took the wise decision to remove Kneecap from the festival. We do not accept terrorism in the music industry. Fuck off. And for someone who wants to be in music, I try and keep my politics away from the music. And there's something where you're promoting terrorism, supporting Hamas, supporting the killing of Jews, and then it's just like, yeah, a good killing your MP, your local told the MP is a good thing, and you're like, no, it's not. It really is not, and they shouldn't be deserved or praised for doing it. And anyone who does is really the moral evil of this society, to be fair. And it's all removed. They're all gone. So this is everyone who's headlining for the festival. And I'm like, I am so glad they are gone. I think James Bay's replaced them. Got Jamie Webster, Twin Atlantic, Wet Leg, Schoolboy Q. Don't know who that is, but it's Late Friday. That's where they were going to come in. They like you'd have Kneecap, like you have Wet Leg, which thankfully they're on the bigger stage now, because they were on the smaller stage last year. They were like in this part. And your Wet Leg, you would have had Kneecap, then the Script, the Irish band, and then 50 Cent. It's a bit of a weird one, that, but fuck it, I'm not really caring. But they've been removed, they're on the Script, so Wet Legs took them over, I think. And I would say that's a moral victory. And I'm very proud of the victory that we were able to pursue. Now, question is, what does the Federation do? How much more can I pursue this to be? Or is there anything else I can add to the list? Well, the Federation was meant to be like a pro-UK unification kind of thing, like giving people a unified network to be around. The reason it comes up with black flags is because your computer doesn't recognize emoji flags. But to be fair, let's talk about the Federation, because there was a few petitions that I hoped we were going to win, but this is my first victory with this. I thank anyone who signed it, anyone who talked about Kneecap, and yeah, it's just good. And what shall they be talking about the Federation? Does anyone really care about that? Probably not. I mean, it's not like anyone's watching anyway. But doesn't matter. So we managed to do a full hour. Fuck it. Let's talk about the Federation. So, what is the Federation of the Allies of Britain? The idea for the start, it was called the Foundation before, and I thought that name just sounds a little bit too much like the science fiction Foundation. You know what it is when you look it up. But the idea of the Federation is to... Can we click that? No, that's not what I meant. It was basically a UK community builder. So the idea was to build communities of pro-UK unionists, patriots, and so on and so on. And to be fair, it was just like, okay, we could actually do something with this. And we could actually start doing events. So the idea is to start doing social events. It's start to help individual businesses, trying to make a community. And if things go any other way, it could be to become a business of its own, or to just an independent organization that's built on community building. Start networks, start things like that. Not the aim of making a political party. I have made that super clear. We don't need any more political parties trying to go in. We've got Homeland, we've got Reform, we've got other news as well. I cannot tell you this news, but I think I'll just let this video of the Toyota play, because Reform isn't our only choice.
a last hope.
No. There is another.
And only if I could tell you what that is. But you never know. I've mentioned the people's names beforehand on tonight's stream, so it's been an hour. And like I say, I think it just, as it's just me, I can't really keep it on for longer than an hour, and I do have other things to do. But like I say, I thank everyone who's watching the show or hasn't watched the show. I only talked about a few little things. The aim is to make more episodes. I have. Can I share this? Just remove that. Add another screen. Share something here. Goes to this. Right. So I have been slowly starting to make videos of my own. I've only made ones recently. I am trying to be quick about this. But the latest video I did was on the Hamilton by-election. I'm not going to... I'm not really going to go over anything too serious, but I'd just like to mention that when it comes to the Scottish election, we do have 2 council elections in Scotland that's supposed to be happening on June the 19th and June the 26th. So, it'd be ideal if any of the other parties start talking about these. This is what I was trying to say about the form before. You never mentioned any of these damn things beforehand. So the question is why? But like I say, it doesn't really matter because we're already doing our own thing. Things are happening and things have just got to get going. And I hope things go well because I want this to work. I want to do this. I want to get people on. I want to have interesting conversations. But it's a struggle for me to be live and do my own thing without losing my mind, basically. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching the live stream. I'd like to thank anyone who's joined the channel recently, all the fronts. And we will see you later. Thank you.